Hello, it's fantastic to be back with you here. I have an incredible session for you now. I am really pleased to be with Avi Schiffman for this section talking about Internet for Good. Now, Avi, you are the founder of two incredible sites. In fact, you're founder of many more, but we're going to focus on two to start with. UkraineTakesShelter.com, and before that, you built ncov2019.live. Now, you built that first one about COVID and the coronavirus when you were 17 years old. I'd love you to tell me about those two sites, and especially what motivated you to build them.
Sure, yeah. So the coronavirus website was the website I made in early January of 2020, when there was absolutely no information out there on the pandemic. Back then it was really just an epidemic, and when I launched the website, there was about 51 cases in 2 Chinese cities, and I made a website where you could get all the information in one place about how many total confirmed cases there were, total deceased, eventually added information like vaccination numbers.
Just let me pause you there. Why did you do it in the first place?
At the time, I was just like a little bored, and I saw it as a good opportunity to further my coding
So you were
skills.
a junior in high school, and you were bored, and you decided to focus on this.
Yeah,
okay.
and that website became one of the biggest websites on the internet of all time. And the COVID site has been used by hundreds of millions of people, governments, news outlets, scientists, all sorts of people to get the most up-to-date information. In fact, it's updating right now because the code I wrote did it automatically. It would go to like government health department websites and find the most up-to-date information and build like a centralized database of it where you could find all this data super quick. And it was faster than the World Health Organization, the CDC, all these government agencies that collecting
Let me
information.
pause you there because it's incredible. The New York Times actually said that they were mortified that a Seattle teenager could update coronavirus information faster than the CDC could.
Yeah,
right?
I was pretty mortified too. I think it's a little sad.
Were you mortified or were you, how did it make you
I thought
feel?
it was pretty cool. Also, I think it's a cool quote. I'll definitely frame that one day. But it's just, I realized that you could do a lot of this stuff automatically. I used some very basic like AI things as well to, scan PDFs and gather all that data and just build a database that would update while I'm sleeping. Meanwhile, at these government groups, they have to gather all this data manually and upload a PDF to a website once a day or once a week. And they're so complicated, filled with government jargon and terrible user interfaces. But on my site, you could go on your phone and have all these beautiful colors and beautiful interface. And it was just a very intuitive design that pretty much every single media outlet in the entire world talked about, and it was spread everywhere, translated into all sorts of languages, and really gave the world access to COVID information
Incredible.
super quick.
So let's talk about the one that you've done for Ukraine, UkraineTakesShelter.com. What motivated you to do that?
Yeah, so the Ukraine site is my most recent project. That is a website where I allowed anyone in the entire world to sign up and say they can host Ukrainian refugees, and hundreds of thousands of people signed up. It's actually 4 times the size of Airbnb's refugee initiative, and that site has helped house over 25,000 families, all from Ukraine, and that site was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. So one of the features is that you don't accept advertisements or sponsorships. Tell me about why that is.
Yeah, part of the reasons why I made websites like the COVID site were the information out there was on websites that were filled with terrible user interfaces, terrible user experiences, filled with ads. Like in the early COVID days, there were news websites that would write articles, but on those websites, there's pop-up ads. It was just ridiculous, and I didn't want to do any of that. So there were many opportunities to make millions and millions of dollars on the COVID site. I had manufacturers of masks and vaccines, like very sketchy ones, offer me like hundreds of thousands of dollars to put a link to their stuff on the front page. But I think by not doing that, I made a much better project that was spread further around, and it won awards like the COVID site won the Webby Awards for one of the best websites on the internet of the year. And I would not have won awards like that if my site was filled with ads. And I think the reputation that I've received for sticking by my morals and ethics and running these projects will help me a lot more long-term into the future than just making a quick buck off some of these sites.
I think what's incredible about the COVID site is that it underscores what I say a lot on my podcast, Global Goals Cast, which is spread facts, not the virus. And that is exactly what the COVID site is doing. So you can see a really clear path for why people would use it. And in fact, scientists use it, media use it, you mentioned.
Yep.
Tell me what's come out of the Ukraine Take Shelter site. What's happened as a result?
Yeah, there's been some incredible stories that a lot of them I've come across just reading the news, and it just so happens that they used my website, so those have been pretty cool. But the most notable story was there was this family in Kharkiv, and early on into the war, that was hiding in their cellar, basement, the floor was dirt. It's not really a place you're living. They're hiding there because the city's being bombed and attacked by troops. And they're contacting all these refugee agencies, NGOs, all this kind of stuff, and none of them are replying. I mean, everyone's so overwhelmed. It's very chaotic. But I had my website set up, and they were able to go on it and find a host in France that was able to help them come to their extra holiday home on the south of France. It's on the French countryside on the beach. It's beautiful. But 3 days after this family arrived in France, their house in Ukraine was destroyed by Russian bombs. So that's a really cool story for me to see that this
How did it
website's
make
not
you feel when you
it
read
was
that?
cool. It's I made a website. It's not the goal of it was to house refugees, but then I realized it's also saving their lives in a way. So that was a pretty cool thing. And it's really motivated me because I think what's cool about that is the butterfly effect of what can happen from some of these individuals that are able to have their lives saved through some of these platforms. Maybe one of the kid in that family will grow up to become the next Einstein or something, or invent faster than light space travel or something cool. And that's really cool. And you extrapolate that upon 25,000 families, and I'm only just getting started with those.
So you're only just getting started. So what is next for you? What are you going to build now?
Yeah, I've got a big plan to take these platforms to the next level. So these websites have been great and all, but they're a little amateurish in my eyes. I had pretty much every single NGO on the planet try and partner with the Ukraine site, but you can't really partner with a 19-year-old on a website, but you can partner with a whole legal entity, a nonprofit that's got employees, and it's a real organization. So that's what I'm working on now as I get older, because I think the Ukraine site was really cool. People loved it. I mean, there's always a crisis going around the world. I'm sure you read about it all the time in the news, but all you can really do if you're just an average citizen is you can donate money to some random organization, but it's really hard to find those because there's a lot of scams. A lot of people don't really have the money to donate. There's just a lot of issues with that. Or you can sign petitions, but it doesn't really. What is that going to stop Putin? You can also literally fly maybe to Romania and help people on the ground, but that's just unrealistic for a lot of people. But I think the Ukrainian site showed that people really do want to help, in many ways than just monetarily. And so I think it'd be really cool to set up a platform under this whole nonprofit and partner with real government agencies and NGOs and all these kinds of things, and not make it specific to just Ukrainians and not make it specific to just housing, because there's always going to be another war, pandemic, or natural disaster or something like that. And having the ability for regular people to say, oh, I'm a therapist, I would love to provide trauma support to maybe kids that were just got their house destroyed by an earthquake, or maybe there's a war, and there's plenty of other refugee crises happening right now in places like Syria and Yemen, whatever. And just making this platform available to them as well would be an incredible thing.
We've got an incredible group here in the room, investors, educators. Is there anything that you would like to ask from them?
Yeah, I mean, so this nonprofit, I've got big plans. I think it could be one of the coolest things anyone has ever done with the internet. I'm really passionate about good design and making everything really work, but I'm not very knowledgeable on how a nonprofit works and how to really make that available, to really see the vision. So if anyone really does see how this could be the coolest thing ever and would like to help in any way, I mean, feel free.
All right.
I think it would be awesome.
I imagine it's quite easy to contact you on the internet.
Yeah.
Briefly, you built the first site we talked about when you were 17. Actually, high school didn't work out for you, and it turns out university didn't work out for you.
No.
Tell me about your drive to be creative and why you couldn't find that in normal school.
Yeah, I mean, I think the traditional school system is definitely not successful for everyone. I personally was a terrible student, in a weird way, though. I'd be failing my physics class, but I'd be winning my school science fair for a physics-based project, or I'd be failing my computer science class, but I was winning national hackathons. So it's not that I was not interested in the subject. I love biology, but I still got a terrible grade in that class. And I think a lot of schools these days really bash the creativity out of you, and remove the sense of curiosity and learning, and I think that kind of sucks, and I hope that gets a bit better, and that there were more opportunities for people that have great ideas like me, and they really helped further those kids and provided them the resources for them to really make those dreams reality. I think that'd be cool, and that's what school should really be, instead of being stressed about math assignments and all that kind of nonsense.
Avi, it's been an absolute pleasure to have a few moments with you. Let's give him a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very, very much.